What's your name?
My name is Elizabeth.
Okay, and where are you from?
I am from Pennsylvania in the United States.
Okay, and what languages have you studied?
I have studied French or Français. That is the only language I've studied.
Okay, no, that's good. How long have you been studying this language, or are you still studying?
I studied for 10 years. I am not actively studying now, but it was 6th grade through college, so
Okay.
10 years.
Right. How did you learn the language?
I learned in the classroom, and I was lucky enough to have native French teachers in high school and in college, so that really helped me get the accent. And I also spent a year in France during my 3rd year of college, so my junior year.
Okay. Did you enjoy learning the language?
Yes. I always liked French, so that was why I chose it to study, because I had a choice between Spanish, French, or German when I was in middle school. And I always liked the accent, so I loved learning it. Yes.
Cool. What do you think is the best way to learn a foreign language?
I think that you just need to have fun with it, and you need to dedicate time, whether that is in the classroom or out of the classroom, flashcards, learn as much vocabulary as you can, watch some TV in that language, or listen to radio programs, because the closer you get to the actual accent, the better you will be at the language.
Okay. What's the best part of you being able to use French?
The best part was that when I went to France, I was actually able to communicate with people. And even though I was really nervous at first, I was able to get comfortable and, have confident conversations with people and learn about people and have friendships that I never would have had otherwise.
Okay. Have you had any culture shocks or any interesting experiences in France or in any of the French-speaking communities?
Yeah, culture shock, yes, because I thought that French people would be a little more friendlier than they are. But I was studying in a place where it was very cold and rainy, and I think people were just they are very reserved and they keep to themselves. In the south of France, they are more open. So for me, I felt as an American that French people are not super friendly, but I did have fun. And an interesting thing is that in France, when you have a score in school, so I was in college, they announce it to the class, and they critique you publicly in front of everybody, which is not something I'm used to because American grades are private. So that was interesting. And I also have a peanut allergy, and one time I almost accidentally ate an omelet cooked in peanut oil because I didn't know a different word for peanut, cacahuete, so I didn't know that. And luckily, I was able to communicate and say, "What is that? It smells like peanut oil." But, with a little navigating, it worked out okay. So, something that was really cool, I was able to use French when I was working as an intern for a nonprofit Haitian agency that provides higher education for Haitian students in Haiti, because in Haiti they speak French. So it was really cool because I got to Skype with the students that I was helping, and I got to connect with them on a real level that wasn't it wasn't bureaucratic, it was personal. I got to speak with them in French in their language, and that was really cool, to get to see the people that I was, helping and kind of working with. So you never know where your language will take you. There are people all over the world who speak different languages, and when you're able to travel, you meet people who speak that language who are not from the country that you think they'll be from, maybe. Like, when I meet people who speak French, they're not always French, which is really cool. And you get a greater worldview, which is awesome.
Great, thank you.
Thank you.
Got it.
What's your name?
My name is Marshall Fisher.
And where are you from?
I'm from Lancaster, Pennsylvania, which is in the United States.
And what language have you studied?
I've studied informally Portuguese, and also Spanish briefly in college.
How long have you studied or been studying?
Um, I started studying Portuguese like 18 years ago, but have not consistently stayed with it. And Spanish, I studied for about 2 years.
And how did you learn Portuguese and Spanish?
I learned Portuguese by visiting Brazil, which it's the country's language, official language is Portuguese. So spending time in the country is how I learned.
And Spanish?
I learned Spanish in college, taking courses as part of my curriculum.
And did you enjoy learning Portuguese and Spanish?
Yes, yes, I enjoyed and enjoy learning languages. I think it's knowledge. It's something that you can use, and it's fun. It's something challenging and enjoyable.
What do you think is the best way to learn a foreign language?
I think the best way to learn a foreign language um, is being somewhere where you don't have a choice, where you have to speak it. Being in a country or a place where that's where the language is spoken. I always say experience is mileage, and you can be in a classroom and learn as much as you want, but until you're applying it and really forcing yourself to do it, I think that's the best way to learn a language or any skill.
What's the best part of you being able to use a foreign language? I think you already answered that.
I think the best part of being able to speak another language is just being able to communicate with so many more people, and making friends and acquaintances, just running into someone on the street and hearing them speaking the language and striking up a conversation because you have that in common. And also just being able to do simple things, just communicating in your daily activities if you're visiting somewhere, just not having confusion with ordering off of a menu or asking for something. So I think that's the best part.
And have you had any culture shock or an interesting experience in the country or community where the language was used? So Brazil or Spanish?
Costa Rica, I guess. Yeah, the time I spent in Brazil, it was the first time I was ever out of the United States. So that in itself was a little shocking to me, being in a totally different environment and having to just communicate every day with people that didn't speak English, and I certainly had some flubs, but I found that people were generally accepting and happy and willing to engage with me. So I remember one time walking into it was in the afternoon, there was a little bar, and I wanted to get a soda and take it back to where I was. I was at this English school, and there you can't you can take a can out of the facility, but you can't take a bottle out because they recycle all the bottles. They have the old style Coca-Cola bottles. So and I didn't know the word for a bottle, and the man had given me, or a can rather, and the man had given me a bottle, and I wanted to leave, and I was trying to ask for the other one, and we just had this really terrible conversation, and finally I just said, I'm American, and he just, somehow he knew, and he just put the can up there, and that was the end of it, so, yeah.
Very nice. Thanks. You.
What's your name?
My name is Liana.
And where are you from?
I am from Massachusetts in the United States.
What language have you studied?
In middle school and high school it was Spanish, and then I did maybe 2 classes of Japanese in college, but since living in Japan, it's been 100% Japanese.
How long have you studied or have been studying?
We'll stick with the Japanese, so it's been about 4 years now.
And how did you learn the language?
I used my old college textbook to just kind of learn the katakana, hiragana, and reading and stuff like that. But most of the words I've learned and really remembered are the ones that I use every day. So it's been listening to my students actually. So maybe I have terrible Japanese because of them.
Did you or do you enjoy learning the language?
Yeah, it's a lot of fun. It's just great to be able to talk to people.
What do you think is the best way to learn a foreign language?
Definitely being forced to use it every day, like complete immersion. I've always had an interest in Japanese culture and Japanese stuff. And even though I was listening to the music on my own free time, I wasn't actually really listening to it. I was just kind of absorbing the sound and enjoying it. It wasn't until I actually came here that I realized I have no clue what anything is. So it's definitely got to be full immersion or you've got no way to apply anything.
Have you had any culture shock or an interesting experience in the country or community where the language is being used?
I think the only culture shock was when I first came and it was that I couldn't read anything. I know we've talked about this, but when you go to a country that doesn't even have your alphabet, it kind of makes it really difficult to do anything. And when you're a full-grown adult and you're just like, I'm going to go to this restaurant and I want to order this food, and then you realize you can't say the word because you can't even understand what the letters are, that's a kind of culture shock that you don't expect when you're growing up. Like, I mean, otherwise there's nothing really about the culture that really surprised me because I knew so much already going in. It was just the reading and trying to express myself. So, yeah. I mean, I got really good at pantomiming, and there was a housewife across the street, and she would talk to me all the time, and I had no clue what she was saying, but if she talked to me now, I could probably at least kind of understand.
Excellent. What's the best part of you being able to use a foreign language?
The best part of me being able to use Japanese has definitely been communicating with my coworkers, with people on the street, especially people who own dogs, and my students actually. When you're an ALT and you're teaching your own language, it's really beneficial to at least have some keywords in the other language. When I first came, I had nothing. I had, greetings. I could say good morning, good evening, good night. That's not exactly useful with elementary school students who need you to say stand up, sit down, make a circle and stuff like that. Like, those are things that you would use as a teacher, but if you can't express that and the kids don't know the English yet, kind of makes things difficult. So definitely building up on those has been the best part.
Excellent. Well, thank you for speaking with us today, and we'll be in touch.
Thank you.
Bonjour, je m'appelle Elisabeth et j'ai étudié le français depuis 10 ans. Hello, my name is Lizbeth. Merci beaucoup. Okay.
Thank you. Alô, meu nome é Marshall. Boa sorte se você quiser aprender uma língua. Hello, I'm Marshall. Good luck to you if you decide to study another language.
Hola, me llamo Liana. 28 años. Buenos suertes en su estudiar.